Everything that we're talking about today are things that I've learned from
Mhm.
many amazing women. So these points have resonated with me and aligned with me. I'm telling my story and explaining my experiences and how the things worked for me personally. But again, we're not experts. This is just our opinion.
Yeah. Everything that I've learned was from me debating my life on a plane for 8 hours, trying to figure out what the fuck's wrong with me. So I don't have as much access to information as Morgan does because she does training and does a few classes and courses on this and has more relationships with people who are experts on mindset and things like that. I just kind of go off of things that I've figured out that have worked for me because I've just by trial and error.
Yeah, like you have a lot of
Mhm.
experience, and I
I more
just
of
have
just
the
throw myself in.
theory.
Yeah, I just throw myself in situations. I'm like, does this work? No. Okay. Does this work? Oh,
Trial and
no.
error.
Okay. It's trial and error.
Failure is the best way to learn.
Yeah. And the worst.
No, literally, it's the best way to
It's the
learn.
best way to learn, but it just sucks at that time.
But yeah,
Hmm.
failure,
But
that's one thing
you'll
that
never learn without it though.
I've learned how to like change my perspective on, because
Hmm.
if you never fail, then you've never gotten up from a situation and became
Hmm.
stronger. So,
Hmm. No, I agree.
all right, guys. So our topic today is mindset, and we're just gonna briefly talk about it. We'll tell some stories, and yeah, let's get into it. So, what does mindset mean to you?
Um, Quite a few things for me. I think it's the choices you make on a daily basis. So every second you're faced with multiple choices on what path you're going to take on things. And I think mindset is being able, it could be good or bad. Like people have good mindsets or bad mindsets. So it's the whichever option you choose based on how you feel or think at that time and how you deal with your feelings and which choices you make because of how you feel.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Exactly.
yeah. And also kind of how you compose yourself and deal with all that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's a lot of how you talk to yourself on a deeper level. It's how you talk to yourself, how you see the world, and the way that you experience things. It's your
Mm-hmm.
perspective and your emotions. It's everything that is you. But
Mm-hmm.
mostly, I think it's your self talk and how you talk to yourself and how you allow yourself to see the world. Because there's a lot of things that can change your perspective in the world. And if you let that
Mm-hmm.
negativity kind of get to you and mold your mindset, then you've lost already.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing that I want to kind of look over before we get into it is perspective. So my perspective before was super negative. I was a really negative person all the way throughout high school. I hate this, I hate that. Why is this happening to me? Why, like, I didn't have a bad life
I still
whatsoever.
say that all the time. Why is
Like,
this happening?
yeah,
Just as more of a joking like thing to
but
say, but
like even in a joke, like if
mm-hmm.
you're saying it, it's in your mind, and then you put that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
out into the universe and bad things.
Yeah.
So perspective, it's not happening to you. Everything is happening for you. Everything you do is leading you to where you want to be. Everything is leading you towards your goal. So
Mm-hmm. That's true. I think that everything happens for a reason. I know that's kind of like a cliche thing to say, but how many times have you thought of something or thought of someone or thought of this or that and then it's happened, or you thought of this topic and then boom, you see it on TV, or just I think things are constantly pushing you towards a certain way,
the
and you just have
universe.
yeah, and even though little things are going to happen, bumps on the way, and like things are going to happen that are bad, like last year was crazy shitty year for me. Just every single, I felt like I couldn't catch a break. Every month something crazy was happening.
Mhm.
My cat broke his leg, and then things just kept, and then that was the beginning of my year, and then things just kept getting worse and worse and worse, which I will touch on later. I think it's those hurdles make you more happy at the end because you know you got through it, and the good things are still there. You just haven't reached them yet, or you are reaching them. It's just those bad bumps don't define who you are. The way you react to them and the way you deal with them kind of defines who you are. I don't know.
Exactly, for sure.
But I definitely think that good things are meant to happen if you put like your mind to it, and everything you actually want to achieve, you can achieve. You just have to go through all the bumps, and everyone else is going through bumps too. You're not the only one. I think that was it took me a bit to learn. I thought like when I was younger, kind of like you said, situations weren't always the best for me, but at the same time, like I didn't have it as rough as a lot of other people did at all.
Mm-hmm.
I still had a good childhood and stuff. I was just kind of getting on the mindset when you're little that you think everything's happening to you and everything's bad and everyone's against you, and that you're the only one going through things because you don't know how to communicate at that age and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to kind of understand that. And I think the virus and everything going on right now, it really does prove that the same feelings I'm feeling, a lot of other people are feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you don't know what people going on, like what they're going on in their lives and stuff, when they're going through something like you, they're having the same feelings as you for the most part. Everyone acts and does things differently, but
Yeah,
I think people don't realize that a lot of people can relate to them.
that's right. And everybody, the way you react to different emotions is
That's the biggest thing, I think, is
individual as
how
well.
you react. Yeah, how you react to every situation defines who you are, I believe.
I think it's interesting that we're both talking about the same like mindset and everything like that, because like I said, I didn't have a hard life and I didn't really have many hurdles to overcome
Mm-hmm.
until like I wouldn't even say I've had that many hurdles in life. And you might be thinking, oh Morgan, like how can you be kind of trying to guide us through with mindset if you haven't experienced any hardships or blah blah blah. But all these things have worked for Alanah too, and Alana's
Mm-hmm.
had a little bit more hurdles in her life than I have. So it's something like you just change your mindset, and it sounds easy. Like it's easier for me to say than it is to do, but I've done the work and I've changed the way I talk to myself, and I found that helped a lot. So
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that you haven't dealt with your fair share of shitty things and things that have happened to you. They just have been different things.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Being in your own head and having issues with yourself and being hard on yourself and different things that go around like that, like you said, your negativity and all that stuff, obviously came from somewhere and something.
Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about how a shift in mindset can change the way that you live your life in general. And I want to talk about what this has taught me and everything like that. The overall takeaway of this little chat is going to be that the change in mindset has taught me that sometimes you just have to stop and take a breath. Sometimes life's happening so fast you don't have a chance to stop in that moment and take a breath, but you do have time to look back on that and kind of assess, like debrief on what happened, how you were feeling, why you were feeling that way, and what you could do differently. Like I was saying, I used to be a very negative and stressed out person, hating everything, just so angry all the time. I was always in a rush, always felt like I didn't have enough time to do anything. And that was me up until my first year of university is when I went to my first like therapy session, first and only really. But I went and she told me, you need to change your mindset. So when you get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of class, nobody's thinking about that. Nobody's observing you or nobody's judging you. And she just told me, you need to change your mindset on that because you are stressing about stuff that isn't even happening in other people's brains. This is just what's happening in your head.
I would hold my pee.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even, because I'd be so stressed of getting up.
Me, the worst, coughing in class.
Oh yeah.
It stressed me out so much, and I would just sit there and like turn purple rather than cough.
Oh, so when I was in elementary school, we'd always have to go to church because I went to I was in the Catholic school board. So one time we're in church, it's like a hot day. So I have asthma. Sometimes I get like little tickles in my throat if I get a little too overheated. So it's like a hot summer day. We walk there. I was fine. We sit down and like right in the middle of the priest doing the speech, walking down these aisles, I could feel the tickle.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm like trying to like repress it and hold it in, and I couldn't. So who has a huge talking attack right in the middle of church? And I'm not a religious person, but it was just awkward because there's hundreds of people there.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like super awkward. And then where do you go? Like I'm in the middle of the pew, so like I can't like I'm gonna like make a scene, charging out of there.
Oh my God.
suffocating
The
at one
worst
point.
nightmare.
I was so embarrassed. So now I had this huge fear, especially when I'm serving. I always have coughing attacks when I was
Yes.
serving.
Yes.
If I had like a tiny bit of a cold and not enough where you can call in,
Mm-hmm.
that makes me have the tickle, and then I have to cough, and I'm sitting there at a table, wide-eyed, they're watering because I feel the tickle, and the guest asked me, "What kind of dressings do you have?" or something like that, and I'm like, "Balsamic." That would have been like just dying, just wishing they would just finish. And then I've had to, on 2 occasions, walk away from my table, and I would just go home when I used to serve.
Oh my God.
Oh, oh, so embarrassing, so
I
embarrassing.
know. Yeah. So I would always go through that. And it was just always in my head like, people
Mm-hmm.
think this, people think that, stress, don't want to get up, not this, nope, not doing it. So it,
Mm-hmm.
that one meeting, and she challenged me to change my mindset. Whenever I start thinking anything negative or something that spirals, just change it to something positive.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing that. And I was about, I don't even know how old I would have been in first year university, 19. I was
Mm-hmm.
19 at the time. So this is something that I've practiced. It's really helped me. This is something I've practiced throughout my life. I realize how positive of a person I am and how grateful I am for that one brief description of mindset and how it could
Mm-hmm.
change your life. It actually did change my life. So at 25, here I am, 25 years old. I have a job that I enjoy in Ontario parks. I'm a park warden. And this is such a big success for me because my whole life I felt like I needed to do one thing. I went to school for corrections. I got a criminal justice degree, and that's what I believed that I had to do. That's what my path was. Because I got that degree, I needed to be a correctional officer, a cop, something. So when I first got out of university, I applied to be a correctional officer, and for 4 years, that's what I was going to be. Right out of school, get my correctional officer job and live my life happy. 8 months into this process, because the federal government it's a long process is to apply for anything. I get to the fifth of 7 levels of hiring, which I at this point after you get by stage 4, you assume that you're in this job. You assume that you're going to get it, and the rest is just
Mm-hmm.
technicalities. I didn't get it, so my mom is also into mindset and stuff like that. So it was me and her talking. Well, it wasn't the time. The universe has something else planned for you. And I believe that. So throughout the next year and a half, I applied for policing jobs, other sort of law enforcement jobs. So border security, military
Mm-hmm.
police. I never wanted to be in the military ever. I never wanted to be a police officer even. People would ask me, "Oh, do you want to be a cop?" No, I don't want to chase anybody. Like, that's not my passion.
Mm-hmm.
But neither was corrections.
Mm-hmm.
What was I going to do? Sit in a jail for 12 to 16-hour shifts? And like, I would be
Get
miserable.
harassed. Yeah.
So that happened for me. My failure of failing corrections, that process to get into that job that I thought I wanted, that
Mm-hmm.
saved me from
Mm-hmm.
not doing that. That was my first real failure in my life. And I took it pretty well because it was happening
Mm-hmm.
for me, not to me. But
No,
now
that's a good way
after,
to look at it.
yeah, and that's how I've always looked at it. Oh, it wasn't the right time. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I started applying for all these other jobs, and I think I didn't get any of these jobs because I was self-sabotaging in my head. I knew I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want any of these positions, so I didn't
Mm-hmm.
push myself for them. For example, for one, I had an interview with Canada Border Services. And I went out the night before to a work party, got so wasted, and I was so hungover the next day. Like,
Yeah.
he picked me up from that party.
Oh
I had
yeah.
the interview at
Mm-hmm.
10 a.m. in Sudbury, which is an hour and a half drive from North Bay, for that people that don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. It was like I was so hungover for that interview. Of course I didn't get that.
I know. I remember telling you, I was like, I'll pick you up. You have an interview in the morning. And I remember waiting waiting for you outside, trying to get you out into the car. I remember calling you and you're in the bar still and you answered, you're like, hello? And I was like, hi, I'm here. And you're like, okay, cool. And then just nothing. And I was like, what? And I called, no answer, called, no answer. Some guy comes out. I'm like, hi, like, is Morgan in there? And he was like, oh yeah, she's cleaning up. I'm like, is she drunk? Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
But
Help.
it was funny though. Yeah, I can see how that would cause you to not get the job.
Yeah,
Which means you didn't actually care enough about it because you wouldn't have done that if you actually really cared.
exactly. I was sabotaging it. And even though I thought that I wanted that at that time, really, that's not something that I would enjoy. So in about a year and a half, I got rejected from, I think, 7 law enforcement jobs. And
Okay.
then finally a parks position, so Ontario Parks park warden position pops up and I apply for that. The more I looked into it, the more it looked like something I wanted to do. It's all the best things. I love telling people what, like, not what to do. I love enforcing the rules. I love making sure that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I love the outdoors. So this was the perfect gig for me. So back to failure and mindset. I went through my hiring process for my Ontario Parks position, made it to the last, I got to the last thing. I got the phone interview. They said I did great. They were very impressed. And they called me back a week later when they said they were going to, and I didn't get the job. They didn't have a position for me. And at first I was so upset because I knew I was the right fit for it. I knew that this job is something that I would excel at. But I didn't get it. They didn't have a position. So I just accepted it. And for the first time in my life, I had no direction. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. It was for about a 2-week period, 2 or 3 weeks. And I was looking up how to get a visa to go work in Ireland. I was going to go work there, serve. But when I was looking at that, I determined that I Googled jobs that Canadians can do in Ireland. And I got a hiking tour guide. And that's the job I was going to apply for. But then it was 2 days later, I had told my mom that I'm thinking about getting this visa to go work in Ireland for a year, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a tour guide in the mountains or the hills of Ireland, and I'm super excited about it. We were having dinner, my whole family, and my sister asked me, so what are you going to do with your career? And I said, I don't know. I really have no direction in life right now. I'm just seeing what's happening. And my sister thought that was sad, but I was excited about it because it's an adventure.
That, and there's so, like, every door's open, like you had no constraint or like restrictions. It was so, you had so much ability to have ideas and innovate and think of something really cool. It gives you time to be picky and actually decide what you like, experiencing things. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was super excited about it, but it wasn't 2 hours later that I got a call from Ontario Parks, and they asked me if I wanted the position, and right away I said yes, 100%. And John, my supervisor, he laughed at the time and he said, you don't need to think about it. And I was, nope, not at all. This is what I want. And at that moment I was like, yep, this is exactly the job that I need. And I still love it. It's been a year, and my job is postponed right now because of COVID-19, and it's disheartening, but I'm also very lucky to be working for Ontario Parks, who are taking care of their employees, and I'm not just left without a job. So I'm blessed in that sense. But so that's kind of a little brief description of how I got to where I am and how my positive mindset just pushed me through. Because any other person, I think, especially in my field, would take all 8 of those rejections as a negative failure. They would probably just continue to work their part-time job and serve. And I know a lot of people that apply for policing don't get it the first time and they never try again. But nope, I tried for I don't even know how many different job opportunities, and I didn't get any of them until the right one came along. So